problem was I had 10 days. 10 days to wait when I'm like, okay, I can get sick, I can get tired, I can start feeling bad on the ice. Please don't let anything go wrong. I've come too far for anything to go wrong. So I moved through those 10 days and made myself come back down off of that cloud from that 3,000 meters. And the Olympics actually came down off of that cloud after that initial medal from Christina. And what happened was we started hearing criticism on our Olympics, mainly from British newspapers and from other places in the world, that it was boring, that there was no spirit there, that these games were nothing. And I remember reading that, and that was when the podium thing started blowing up, and everyone's like, our athletes aren't winning medals when they should, what's going on, they're not prepared, they were supposed to win, we were supposed to win the medal count, it's not going to happen. All of these things, and I'm reading them, and I'm like, wow, there's something going wrong here. And at that point in time, I remember that was exactly when Canada came to life. That feeling at the opening ceremonies, that feeling at the Oval, well, that began to pour into the streets of Vancouver and Whistler and Richmond and all across Canada. Every city that torch run had gone through and connected every Canadian with this Olympics, our Olympics. People started pouring on the streets saying, oh no, you are not going to tell us what our Olympics are. We are going to show you what our Olympics are. And it just began to build upon itself. And that was exactly when our team started winning medal after medal after medal. And it was Canada who lifted us up. It was Canada's response and energy that lifted up the team at a moment when it could have gone down and down and down. I don't think any athlete will ever forget the feeling of being on the receiving end of that kind of energy. I spent those 10 days watching every moment of the Olympics when I wasn't training, eating, or sleeping. Just like everyone here. I was glued to my computer and to my television set, watching every moment, learning, growing, and being inspired. I watched Alex Bilodeau win our first gold medal on home soil. I watched his eyes on the starting line. He was so ready and so hungry to race. Watching John Montgomery do his famous Whistler Walk of Fame, chugging the beer like a true Russell Manitoban and true Canadian, I could say. And the night before my race, watching Joanie Rochette skate her short program. Those minutes of just, I think everybody held their breath in Canada, just hoping that everything was going to go okay for that little girl who had lost her mom 2 days before, that had the courage to go out there and soldier on and watch her skate. And she did it. I just couldn't believe she did it. And I watched Joanie, and I knew there was nothing against me the following day. If she could do it, so could I. If she did that, anything was possible. I remember going to sleep that night feeling like I just can't wait for tomorrow. I woke up in the morning, did my early morning exercise, prepared myself breakfast, coffee. I even had my own little espresso machine that I brought over from Calgary, so I had my perfect coffee, my quadruple Americano the morning of my race, like I do every other morning. And as I sat and I ate and I drank my coffee, I asked myself, what do you want out of this day? And as I thought about it more, there were 5 words that came to my head. They were open mind, open heart, and warrior. These words, I kept repeating them. I wrote them on my hand in the place where I would see them all day, every time I tied my shoelace, every time I changed my skin suit or my shirt, as a reminder of what I wanted that final race of my Olympic career in Canada and as Canada and for Canada on our home ice and home soil. I wanted an open mind in case anything did go wrong so I could deal with anything and make it work. I wanted an open heart to take in that energy that I knew was waiting for me in the Richmond Olympic Oval. And I wanted to be a warrior. I wanted the spirit of a warrior on that day because I knew it was going to be a battle. I went to the rink and got on the ice a couple hours before my race, and one of my coaches, Gregor, who Julie had brought in, skated up behind me, and he said, "Clara, stop. Don't start yet. I want to talk to you." I said, "Yeah? What do you want to talk about? I kind of want to warm up." He said, "Clara, I want you to stop and just clear your mind." He's like, "I want you to really feel this ice under you." He said, "You have been feeling so good on this ice every day. You've been working with it. You've been flying on it and floating on it. He said, today I want you to feel that ice under your blades. Feel it as if you've never felt it before, like you've never felt it before. Let yourself glide on this ice and work with this ice. I said, okay, I'm going to try to do that in my warm-up. So I started warming up and started skating. And again, I started relaxing my feet, relaxing my arms, relaxing every muscle in my body. And that flow that had felt so good for the last 2 weeks on that ice began to feel even better. I felt so good in my warm-up, I had to stop. I had to stand up halfway through because I thought, if I keep skating, I'm going to go too fast. I'm going to leave it all in my warm-up, and I'm going to have nothing left for my race. So when I saw my coach, Julie, she said, aren't you going to do your warm-up? I'm like, nope, that's it. I am so ready. I have to get off this ice. And she said, okay, you know what you need to do. So I stepped off the ice, did my normal preparation, read those words over and over on my hand as a reminder of what I wanted to be. So soon the minutes were ticking down. And when I got back on the ice, took my guards off for the last time, I said, this is it. What are you going to do with these 7 minutes? What are you going to do? And as I started skating, I did a few easy laps. Julie skated behind me when I stood up. And she said, Clara, this is it. This is your last race. She said, I want you to go to that start line, and I want you to take some deep breaths and open your heart. She said, listen to these people. They're here for you. This energy is here for you. Open your heart and let it in. And so when I see myself on the starting line in that video, taking those breaths, I was opening my heart and opening my chest and letting that energy feed me, letting it in. And when I got to the line and had my armband on and I'd shook the hand of Masako Hazumi of Japan, who I was paired with, and in my mind, I said good luck to her, but in my mind I was like, I won't see you after 2 laps. Good luck. That's what I meant, but I was like, good luck, have a good race. But I was so ready and so hungry and so prepared for that race that I didn't really know how mean I looked, and they only showed a little bit of it, but my massage therapist that night, he said, Clara, did you see yourself yet on the starting line? And I was like, no, why? And he was like, you look mean. He was like, I've never seen you look that mean. And he was like, you were like a street fighter with a weapon. And he's like, your weapon was a switchblade, and it was open, and you were like, I'm going to cut someone who gets in my way. Which is funny, because I'm kind of known as being a smiley person. But on that day, I was ready, and I was mean, and I was prepared for war. So as I stood on that line, and I listened to the command of the starter, go to the start, took those deep breaths, and that's when you plant your blades in the ice. And you plant them, and you can't move. You have to relax, took some deep breaths. And then I heard ready, and that's when you go down into the starting position. And the gun went off. And I took that first step to that first stride, to the first 200 meters that put me in 23rd place out of 24 skaters, because I'm a really slow starter. But again, on that day at the Olympics, numbers did not matter to me. Not until the end of the race. But I skated and I didn't care. I didn't care that it was slow. And then I skated my first lap. It was faster than I had ever skated a first lap in a 5,000-meter race, including on the fastest ice on earth. It was fast and I didn't care. I didn't care because I was feeling something I had never felt at that level before. And that was perfect movement. That was efficiency of movement. All of the thousands of hours of training on ice and off ice for technique was finally happening through me. I wasn't thinking push to the left, push to the right, use your center of gravity, relax your toes, this or that. There was no consciousness in my thought. It was happening through me in the most beautiful way, and it was like a dance. Every turn to every straightaway. I've never felt anything like that. And hearing the crowd and just feeling like it was going right into my heart. It was like sugar. It was like adrenaline. And it was going right to my legs and letting me fly on that ice. And when I got to 5 laps to go, unlike Torino, where I was in so much pain, I got to 5 to go, and I was like, God, I feel good. Maybe I feel too good. I had this moment where I was like, you have to go harder. You have to try. This isn't hard enough. You're not hurting. And then I said, no, do not wreck this rhythm. Do not wreck this timing. Let yourself skate. This is how skating should feel. And so I let myself skate, and I let myself glide, and I let myself dance on that ice for 5 more beautiful laps. I remember getting to that last turn, getting there and letting this scream out. And what it was like that race, that perfect race that had been living inside of me was finally out. It finally lived its life. And as I rounded that turn and skated that last straightaway and shot my blade across the line, cutting the timing beam, I thought, that's it, I did it. I had the perfect race. I was barely even breathing. It was as skating should be and could be. And I did it in Canada, as Canada, for Canada, in our Olympics. And all those things went through my head, and then I looked up at that scoreboard. And again, numbers. Oh yeah, bring them on. 6 minutes and 55 seconds. 4 seconds faster than I skated to win gold in Turin. 3 seconds faster than the track record that had been set at the World Championships the year before. But there's still 6 skaters to go. I could have been in 7th place after that race. Could have been in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 7th, 6th or 7th. I didn't care. I was just like, that was the best I had. That was excellence. I am going to celebrate like I won the Olympics, even if I look like a jerk after because I come in 7th place. I didn't care. I skated around high-fiving everybody I could find, hugging every volunteer, hugging my coach, just jumping up and down, smiling with joy, feeling such satisfaction, and knowing how many kids were watching that moment, and maybe connecting to that moment. And as the skaters went on, the pairs went on, I got beaten twice by a 21-year-old and a 22-year-old, the ripe young age of 37. And a lot of people thought I was too old. Well, the only record I missed was being the oldest ever in history long track speed skating Olympic medalist. I missed it by like 34 days by some Norwegian in the 60s. But that one was out of my control. But what meant the most to me was I brought the best of me to our Olympics. And I was able to share that joy, share the passion for what I did. I feel our Olympic team showed this to Canada, shared this complete rapture of being alive and pursuing dreams and goals. And what we were able to do, what I've learned from traveling this country since the Olympics, from coast to coast to coast, because I did go up to the Arctic and spend a week playing hockey with those kids that Joey Junot works with. I saw how far the spirit of the Olympics spreads. It's not just for the south of Canada. I saw all of these seeds in all of these little kids that have been planted. Seeds of hope, seeds of dreams, seeds of possibilities. And now, we all get to water those seeds. All of us, teachers, parents, we get to water those seeds of possibilities. Kids believe they can do anything after watching these Olympics. And I think Canada showed the world what is possible. When you're willing to celebrate excellence, when you do things with the right integrity, with dignity, and with respect. I remember talking to competitors that had never won a race and would never win a race from countries that don't have powerful sport teams or budgets. Girls that had come in last place at the Olympics said to me, "Nobody's ever cheered for me before. People cheered for me here." And I mean, I get emotional because that's what we do as Canadians. We support people. We encourage them to be their best. We gave so many people so much in these Olympics, and I think we showed the world what Canada is, what Canada means. And I have been so very grateful as an athlete to have had the opportunities and the privilege to represent all of you, to represent this country. It has meant the world to me. And in closing, I know I've talked for I don't know how long about how medals don't matter, how it's your best and excellence and all that. Well, I had to bring some medals because they are really cool, and I honestly feel like I have these to share them. And because I'm here today and I'm going to Rwanda tonight, these are actually going to Rwanda. I brought all of them. I couldn't choose. So I brought these to share with you, to show you that, man, when you're willing to dream And when you're willing to be open to learning and to growing and to being inspired, there are no limits. So this is my proof of that. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Hi, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.